So here's the question. What if you did something great and you knew you could never top it? What would you do? A friend asked me this the other day, and I had a response, and then I started thinking, like, maybe I should talk about it. Maybe I'll get more insight into the response that I gave. It's something that is common. It's a common question, I think, with music. I feel like, or among creatives in general, for sure, it feels to be like a really common thing. And with music specifically, I've seen it asked and responded to sometimes where people talk, well, it's not direct. It's usually more like someone talking about a group being like, they're never going to be able to do that again. You're never going to be able to, whatever, sell them any records or have an amazing song like that again, or album, or just the time and the place and all these things just magically just came together, and that magic won't be there again. And does that mean that they should quit making music? No. So there's an answer right there. See you later. Just kidding. I think that it's really difficult for me to think, because I mean, part of the question that my friend gave me was like, would you switch mediums? What would you do? Like, would you just stop creating in that medium altogether and do something else? Like, still creative, but just not that thing? Like, what would you do? And I don't think that you can just... not you. I think it would be really difficult for me to just be like, okay, well, I did the best thing ever, and that's it. Talking from a visual art perspective, it's like, how do I know that I can't do something better one day? What would prevent me from doing that? Like, especially because art is so much here. Like, if it's an individual thing, I think it's different than a team effort thing. Because, like, in the case of music, in a band or something, I think you might be able to be in the band and still maybe, like... Again, it's really hard for me to say and have an admission like, you know what, nothing will ever be as great as this one thing that already happened. Because I don't know what would be preventing you from achieving that greatness again. I just don't know. Why? Why wouldn't you be able to achieve that again? It would be different. It doesn't mean that it would be lesser, though. If you have a member change, or yes, the times are different, or... I think that you can find the magic again, just the right time and place. So I have a really hard time with the question in the aspect of like, why would that ever happen? So you're giving me an impossible scenario. Why would you ever feel like you did the best thing you could ever do and you'll never do it again? We were talking about something, I don't know, that it's like if you played guitar and then all of a sudden you broke your hand and you'll never play the same way again. Or, I don't know, that doesn't change the writing process, though. Like, someone else can play it, who cares, and you can still write guitar, right? So, I don't know. That's my first problem with it. The biggest problem that I have with the question is that, like, or with answering the question, is that I don't believe in the question. The question's just like why? Why would you never be able to do something great again? Why would you never be able to top that great thing you did? Why would you never be able to be greater than that? Like I said, I'm sure, like, okay, when you're an athlete, yeah, there's physical things that you can't do that you could do when you were 20, you can't do when you're 70. Sure, got it, for sure. But if we're talking about the arts and creativity and stuff, to me, it's here. That's where it is. So, at some point, if let's say you're aware that maybe your mind is eroding, but you are still lucid enough and in control to be able to still create, but you know that you can't create at the level you did before because you can't think at the same level, would you stop? Like, no, I would not stop. I would be like, if whatever the circumstances that I can't really think of said, hey, you are never going to be better than what you did that one time it's never going to be that good again. If that was just a reality I was faced with, even though I can't think of the circumstances where it would be, I think that I just would keep doing it. Like, why? I don't know. Like, it was just, okay, sure, that's number one. And it was 100%. Well, I can still make a 99%. I can still, but maybe I already have a 99%, and this one will be the better 99%, and that one will drop, the other one will drop down to 98%. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. But I just can't see myself stopping. I did tell my friend, I told him that, like, you know, maybe I would switch mediums for a bit. Maybe I would just put less work into that medium and concentrate elsewhere. I kind of do that already. Like, things ebb and flow with me, and like, not drastically in the past couple of years. I've still been very visually, like visual art focused. But obviously, I've given some attention to things like vlogging and having conversations and some video editing stuff. Like, that's still something that takes up my time, and it's a medium. Whether or not it's art is a whole different thing. But because of that, I think I've done more writing, and if I'm doing some writing, like, maybe that I don't know. I don't think any time I spent writing takes away from the time I could be doing visual art. Just the times and places where I do writing, it's not like I would be doing art, like visual art in that moment, I don't think. And it's good practice and whatever. So I definitely have shifted focus over the course of years because of different factors, like with music. Like, so that's like a team effort. It's not something I can really do on my own. I don't have the skills, and I don't want to put time and energy into maybe being able to have the skills to create music on my own with just a laptop and then whatever. Some people do that, and it's fantastic, and I envy those people, and I feel like, man, you have so much freedom to just, it would be amazing, you know? You don't have to rely on anybody else. However, you know, those are some of my best friends that I've had by making music with them and creating a friendship, and there's a lot of magic and awesomeness and a lot of things that go into the aspect of being in a band with other people and collaborating and so many things. So anyway, to get back to the question, I wouldn't stop creating. I don't think I wouldn't just quit that medium and be like, hey, this is the best painting I will ever do. I'm never going to paint again. I might say, you know what, like, I don't know, like, this is one thing I've heard a lot of people say, is that they've accomplished everything they could. So sometimes in film, I've heard, like, I've accomplished everything I can do in film, and now I'm going to move on to something else. They're like, I've told the stories that I want to tell in film, and I feel accomplished and good, and now I'm going to move on to a different thing. That's something that I've heard of, and again, it's like, how can you accomplish everything you want to accomplish in that medium? Like, I don't get it. Like, I just feel like the possibilities are so endless that it's really difficult for me to see that. And I'm not knocking people who feel that way. I respect that. It's so far away from me that I just don't understand. It's like the concept of eternity. I'm like, I get it, but I don't feel it. It's so vast and massive and not my reality that, like, I don't know what that is. And that's kind of how I feel when people are like, I've accomplished everything I want to with music, with filmmaking, with whatever. I respect it. I just don't get it fully. I understand how... No, that's the thing. I understand it in an abstract way. I don't understand it in a personal way. So it's hard for me to say that, like, oh yeah, I get it. I understand the words that are coming into your mouth, but I don't feel them and understand them on that level where I could relate to it. So I don't think I would ever accomplish everything I want to accomplish within a medium. I think that what would happen, and I've thought about this with the vlog and stuff, and again, this isn't the same because it's not art to me in a way, not yet. Maybe one day there will be a context where it would be like, this is an art project, and there's, you know, some concept that ties together all these journals and conversations and vlogs and stuff, that maybe that would be something that happens one day. But I've thought before of like, hey, I've got other things I want to do. So, I mean, there's things like art process videos. I don't do those anymore. I just don't want to do them. They're not worth it to me. I don't get enough enjoyment out of them. They take up too much time. It's not feeding my soul, so I stop doing it. Maybe that'll happen with the vlog altogether. Maybe that'll just happen, and it's like, yeah, I just don't want to do that anymore. Like, the little bit of time that it takes to edit, I just don't want to do it. I want to do something else. So I think that if I were to stop doing anything creatively for good, or to say I'm stopping, it would probably be because I want to dedicate my time to another project, not because I feel like I've accomplished everything I want to, and there's nowhere else to go with it. There's nowhere. Because that's what I love about creativity, is that it's so endless, you know? In whatever medium, you could just keep pushing the boundaries and going this way and that way and back and forth and in the middle, just all over the place. Like, that's what I love about art. And again, because it's concept-based, not hard skill-based. Like, skills are here, and, well, your heart isn't really a skill. But there's some innate things that I think that give to passion and creativity, and there's learned things too. Anyway, that's my answer to the question. I just don't. One, I can't foresee that ever being a thing. If it was a thing that I one day realized, like, I'm never going to do anything that great again, I think I'd still keep doing the same thing and not give it up. And maybe I would, again, move my mind into a different, like, maybe something happens and I choose to look to build more skills in another medium instead and explore that. But I still don't think I would completely quit the other thing. Like, I don't know. That's where I'm at with that. I'm curious if you are a person who does things, anything that you do. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, especially if you're like just anybody. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a traditionally creative field, but like, how do you feel about that question? Like, what would you do? Is that how you operate? Why do you feel like you would do whatever you would do? With that, we will see you on another time. Just kidding. Coming back into it. This is what happens. Sometimes the beautiful thing about doing these videos is like the external processing element, that I usually learn more about how I feel, why I feel the things I feel, by talking out loud. Sometimes I miss things too. Like, I miss arguments sometimes that I feel and I have, but usually it's the other way around, and I learn more than I did coming in. And I just stopped the video and I checked my phone, and Jordan, the friend I keep talking about, he's the one who posed the question to me, and he just reminded me of this amazing example that I just wasn't thinking of at all. Bill Watterson and Calvin and Hobbes. This is an example of someone who felt like they achieved everything they wanted to with that, with that medium, with those characters, with the stories, and they said, I don't want to run this into the ground, right? Like, that's kind of the same thing as a lot of groups, musicians and stuff. They just decide that we accomplished so much, and I don't want to sully the reputation and name of our band by continuing for decades when I don't feel like we have it anymore. And it's difficult to say. Bill Watterson's a very private person, and I read a biography about him once, but it wasn't like authorized by him. I don't think any of them are. Also, he was notorious during the Calvin and Hobbes days of like not licensing anything. He made like one calendar, I think, in like the 80s, and that was it. And I feel like he has a very respectable perspective on purity and sincerity, and I feel like he comes off pretty cold sometimes, but I think he has a genuine love for what he was doing. And I don't think he felt like, I don't love it anymore. I think he felt like, look, I want to do other things, and I loved this while I was doing it, but I don't feel exactly the same way, and I want to explore some different stuff. And then he never went back into Calvin and Hobbes. He just left it where it was as this beautiful, just like, piece. And it doesn't mean that there's not time to go back, but he had, like, it wasn't like he started out and said, I just want to make I don't know if it was like a TV show. I just want to make 3 seasons. I have a story. That's going to be it, and it's done. Like, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Like, idiot. Because that's the thing that people do, and it's perfectly fine. Like, it makes sense. Like, you have a certain story, you want to tell that story. Like, the question was a little bit different because it was talking about working in a specific medium. Like, if you do something great, then would you ever do it? And that's the thing. Calvin and Hobbes was great. It was objectively and subjectively beautiful and amazing. I mean, why objective trumps subjective anyway? It was just amazing. It was intellectual and funny and just it was great. I love Calvin and Hobbes. It's beautiful. So he didn't have an end date when he started, but he got to a point with it where he was just like, okay, I think that's all I can do with it that I feel good about. I feel like I need to bring it to an end. And, Donald Glover talks about this a lot. He likes to end things. He likes to say goodbye to things. I don't. And maybe that's this big contrast. I don't like saying goodbye to things. I don't like ending things. And that goes across the board to all different areas of life. It's really difficult for me to call an end to a thing because I am so concerned about the possibilities that I might be leaving behind. Leaving money on the table. Am I going to walk away leaving money on the table? Like, I want to make sure of something before, as sure as I can. And some things you'll never be sure about. You just have to pull the trigger and that's it. Kill the thing, whatever it is, and stop it. That's really hard for me to do because I feel like, man, but like, what if? And you start basing things off potential and we're going off the rails. So those were things that I've had those thoughts before. I knew about. I just wasn't thinking about them at all. But like, yeah, that's a perfectly respectable thing to do. I just don't see it for me. And maybe it's because I'm not like a storyteller other than my own story. Like, because I feel like, well, with film or with, in this case, like comics or whatever, and these specific characters, like he didn't even move on to being like, I'm going to do a different comic strip. Like, no, he went off to like oil paint and stuff. And I don't know what happened to him. He's elusive. Like, I don't know. I haven't looked it up in a little while either. But like, is he probably under a pseudonym and there's like a gallery that represents him somewhere? Because I think he's got some beautiful work. But like, just kind of faded away, man. And like, that's cool. Fine, do your thing. Go out of the spotlight, But I don't know what it is about me necessarily that's like, well, my story, I'm always going to want to tell. I'm always going to be... And that's the thing. Other people that are telling stories are often telling things about themselves within those stories, and those stories are other things. They're reflecting on stuff, and they have an input, and then they have an output. And a little bit of that output has some of them in it, or all of it does. Like, I feel like my output is a lot of me, and not so much other stuff, but it's usually pretty close to the chest. Usually. Sometimes it's just fun and whatever, and that has a little bit of me just subconsciously and its necessity that it will... Getting into the weeds, sorry. I still don't think, again, for me, that that's just a thing that's going to happen where I'm just like, hey, I did everything I wanted to do with abstracts. I can't really figure out where to go with abstracts from here. I mean, at this point, I've done hundreds, and I haven't ventured out of, like, most of them are on canvas or like masonite board or, like, traditional materials, and I still have a love for it. I still feel like I can do stuff with it. I still feel like I can express myself in that medium. Sometimes I venture out and get a little experimental, but, like, not like crazy, where some people, like, okay, I did everything I can do with this in a year, and then the next year they've just revamped everything, and, like, I don't know. Maybe that means I suck. Maybe that means that I'm not good because I don't have these big, like, I've done it all. I've gotten all I can out of it. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe I will, fade away slowly rather than just, like, go out with a bang. I don't know. But I needed to talk about that example because I was like, of course, like, that's a perfect example of how someone is like, hey, I don't want to drag these characters through the mud. I want, same thing with people ending TV shows. It's like, it's getting, now we've done everything we can do with it. We can't keep pushing it. Otherwise, it's just going to ruin everything we've done before just by the name of the show. And it's like 10 seasons in and we just can't keep doing it. It's just not working. We're not getting any more out of it, whatever. So I get it. It's just still something that the way that I create, the reasons I create, how I create, what I create, I can't see it happening for me still. But I needed to acknowledge the other piece. Anyway, now we will see you on another time.